Okie dokie, okie dokie. Let's hope this goes well. Let's hope this goes well, guys. I don't know. They're changing everything.
Did you hit? I didn't see you hit start. Oh, I saw a heart.
Somebody hearted.
Somebody heart. Oh, there's our
KK.
Hi, sweetie.
So good to see you, KK.
Yes, it is. They changed OBS on us, so we're like a couple of old people trying to figure stuff out.
Well, it's YouTube in conjunction with OBS, and it seems like yesterday they changed it. Today they changed it a little bit more. Israel, thank you so much, as always, for attending and being part of this family. Joni Murphy, great to see you. Ron Simpson, hope you're doing well, brother. Inspire Me, Pete. Annie Lou, who? Woohoo! Liberty Hill, Texas. Good place. Jenny Pace, great to see you.
Awesome. And there's our very own Rosemary and Christine. Hi, thanks for stopping in.
Guys, there is so much going on. I know I say that a lot lately, but hey, it just keeps getting busier out there and crazier. Kyle, Zeno, Heidi, Alice, awesome. Carolina Dream, Ginger Ale Brit, there she is. Cryptic Vixen, we got Regina, Keith H, good to see you, brother, as well as you, Stacy, and our own Mary D. Oh, gosh, guys, this is just hang on tight time. It really, really is. Hang on tight.
59 viewers and 2 views.
But nothing makes sense in this world anymore, except for that which makes no sense. Yes, you guys need to be on guard. Take in turns. Yeah, do you mean in general, Rosemary, or us personally? Oh gosh, I gotta start with some a request for prayers. Let me hang on one second. Let me give this to Cindy and let me do something.
Yeah. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Lacey. Great to see you. Yeah, we have some prayers. I'm gonna let Mike lead here though, because that's what he does, and then we can get started with the things that are going on. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of changes, and in personal lives as well. So here we go.
Okay, guys, so we did this live today with Wayne, our Wayne Steiger. In case you don't know, we try to go live with him every Thursday at 12 Central time. And right at the end, he got news and he had to leave. I did get in contact with him afterwards. Please send prayers, because his wife Lynn was in an accident, and at that time was in the emergency room. I have not gotten an update yet, so we don't know what the situation is. But we really truly are asking for your prayers that she be okay and will recover from whatever the situation is. We love Wayne, and he's such a wonderful person. While we haven't met Lynn, we know she's wonderful, and again, that family is part of our family.
Indeed, definitely. So please send out some prayers that way. This is something that's it's really difficult. It's so frightening when the person that you love so much on all levels, your right hand kind of gets in an accident and goes down. That can be very, very frightening.
Oh, absolutely terrifying, because, we could feel the love between them. And, we just understand that situation. It's horrible to have your partner in that type of situation. So prayers to Wayne and his wife, of course, to Lynn. May they be protected, blessed, and kept safe and sound in these times. It's just crazy times, and you just never know when something's going to happen.
I know. And, hey, Nina, great to see you here. Nina the Mystic. Go check out her channel. Rachel, great to see you. Kyle, Jenny, Xenomorphat, Will Brennan. Yeah, let's show Mike and Cindy some love. Thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you, Will. That's very kind. A lot's going on, Nina. Lots.
Yeah, again, to reiterate, Wayne had to leave at the end of the live because he got some news, and the news was that his wife was in an accident. So at that time, she was in the emergency room. I don't have an update past that, but just asking again for everybody's prayers for Lynn and for Wayne. We'll start there. And thank you guys so much. Again, there are so many amazing energy workers in our family. We know, because we've had sessions with hundreds, if not thousands of you guys. And absolutely. We can do miracles. We have seen miracles. We have seen miracles many times, actually. So, there's so much that can happen in a positive light when we put our attention there.
Definitely.
So, guys, yes. Wow. Where do we start? Let's start here. Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. You have Governor Tate Reeves saying that he wanted to provide an update on the issues affecting 9/11 systems in Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. EMA has received reports from AT&T that the company is currently responding to a series of fiber cuts which are impacting their network in 3 states. Fiber cuts? That makes me wonder, did somebody cut the fiber optic cables? I mean, what's going on here? It's actually, as you can see, it's in Texas too. We did get notified too. We got in our phones little pop-ups, saying that 9/11 service is out. Look at this. It looks like it's up even as far as Virginia, Arkansas as well, maybe into Tennessee. I just got to say, guys, expect the unexpected in these times. If we are going to be going into some sort of hot war with Russia and the BRICS nations, anything could happen. Or if we're going to have kind of a civil war thing go on inside the United States, then again, obviously anything could happen. And the reality is we might get a combination of both. So again, now is a good time to make sure that you have all your basic needs covered, water filtration, food, for a period of time, as long as you can manage. We're still eating pasta, for instance, that we bought like 5 years ago because we were so well stocked up. We've been kind of cycling through it, but I always keep a minimum of a certain, amount of items, which I think if it was a life and death situation, it'd be more about keeping the puppies fed. But yeah, we could definitely get by for months if we had to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could. It's just it's very frightening. You kind of feel like a sitting duck. I mean, if something is literally cut, well, that's kind of an act of not niceness. And what's the plan after that? When you disable someone's 911 system, what do? You hit them with something. It feels scary.
Well, yeah, because this is exactly what I would be expecting if we were going to go to that point where the war is going to start. Oh, then, yeah, you would have sleeper cells activate and take out things like 9/11 response, take out key infrastructure points, which, again, we've seen very, very suspicious things happen with ships hitting bridges more than once. And things exploding. I think all those things were test runs for when it does happen in earnest. We still hope that we could somehow avert both Civil War and World War. But at the same time, it feels like the fingers are just sitting there on the triggers, ready to be pushed at any time. Yeah, it might. Meanwhile, then we had this too. We had NORAD responding to potential Russian aircraft near Alaska. ADIS, U.S. Air Force E-3C Sentry airborne early warning control aircraft was deployed from Anchorage for the second consecutive night, likely addressing a possible Russian intrusion into Alaskan Air Defense Identification Zone. Meanwhile, a U.S. Air Force RC-135V Rivet Joint, a signals intelligence aircraft, is conducting surveillance over northwestern Russia from Estonia and the Baltic Sea. Concurrently, a U.S. Navy P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol and surveillance aircraft is monitoring waters off of Kaliningrad Enclave. By the way, Kaliningrad Enclave is, I think if it was to happen and the war was to start, Russia would want to connect that with itself or Belarus, which would mean they would look to take a piece of Poland, more than likely, or they would look to take, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia possibly as well. So this is all, something to keep in mind. And, there is probably a likely series of events that would occur if it does go hot. Additionally, a British KC-2 Voyager tanker escorting several Eurofighter Typhoons departed RAF Breeze Norton for eastern Poland, marking its third patrol under NATO's Operation Eastern Sentry. And this is again what I was talking about. You see this tiny little piece of land here. This is Russia. This is Russia all over here. So Russia has a small piece of property that is kind of encircled by NATO allies. Belarus is strongly allied with Russia. Russian military would flow right through Belarus, but they would be looking to connect that enclave. Also, it would perhaps enable them to have better fleet coverage if there is going to be any sort of conflict. Meanwhile, here's a statement from Lavrov. This is Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. He said NATO and the EU are waging war on Russia. That's simple. The Ukrainian crisis was provoked by the West, which is now directly participating in it. Directly. So, effectively, he says the war, between NATO and Russia is underway. Here we go. It's just crazy. And then we have this. We have the U.S. Navy puts on a light show with 7,500-mile thermonuclear weapons test. Multiple Trident II D5 ballistic missiles fired off the coast of Florida into the Atlantic. So this was a show of force. Again, many people are speculating there could be a very large attack on Venezuela. Oh, and while I'm thinking of that, let us just check the map because Venezuela, coincidentally happens to be going through a bunch of earthquakes right now. Yeah, isn't it just amazing how we have all these coincidences? Not that there's any sort of technology that could actually create earthquakes. So, what we had was 6.2 yesterday. Now we have 6.3 on top of that, and we have a 4.9, 4.5, and a 5.8, all in the same cluster. I was wondering if there's any sort of military base around here. I was looking at Google Earth, and mostly it just looks like jungle for the most part. But, again, that reality where triggering earthquakes is something that I personally, and I think there's a lot of people out there, believe is within the realm of possibility with technology. So, again, this is another thing to keep an eye on. And as we see, there were some quakes off the Mexico coast as well. If we look at our largest ones, the biggest ones are over there in Venezuela. But you still have a swarm going on in Kamchatka. Now, Kamchatka, again, This is the Russian, right in there, is the Russian nuclear naval base. So is this sort of a tit for tat? Is NATO triggering quakes over by Kamchatka? And or I should even say, are they also targeting Venezuela? Because you also have, again, the U.S. Navy in this area, and they have, they've taken out more than one boat. So, this is a little disconcerting to see this, The skies lit up as far away as Puerto Rico, as mariners and airmen were informed of the operation well in advance to establish safety zones along the missile's path. And this comes as Russia declares NATO and the EU are now at war with Moscow. I really do not believe we're going to have a nuclear war. I don't think that they will be allowed to do that by other powers, which are very, very advanced again. But I think that yes, there actually could be for sure a World War III. I think it's something that's been planned for, at least 150 years. In my mind, yes. I see Unicorn Purple in the house. Thank you so much, dear Mama Jan. You've been so supportive of us in so many ways too. Yeah, keep the vibes high, but be alert and be aware of all this chaos that's going on.
Yeah, it's pretty chaotic. For me, I'm just kind of watching things. I'm watching the astrology. I'm watching where Pluto and the other planets are sitting, and with Pluto, the way it is, it has all the aspects of the 8th house, which is it's the sign of death. The 8th house is a sign of death and rebirth too, but definitely ups and downs and chaos, and it's a very, very difficult planet. So and it's in a position right now where it's making a difference. It's sending its energy toward us in a really big way. So, I'm expecting some change.
Yeah, our DJ says, can we say, those DEAGAL numbers? Absolutely. Is it another coincidence that those numbers were forecast? And as I've shared with you guys, I've analyzed those numbers, done probably a half a dozen videos on those numbers. And the countries that they put down as having all those losses, which, by the way, add up to about 550 million people seem to disappear, it's NATO countries. It's all NATO countries and U.S. Allies that show the losses. I do think in some ways that's kind of like a warning out there in some ways. I think, it's also out there to maybe instill illusion and fear, but at the same time, we did have World War I, we did have World War II, and as we know, 1871, Albert Pike, 3 world wars are planned. Even if you don't believe in the Albert Pike prophecy being legitimate, we can see so much that points to these plans. It's not just one person, again, just like the evidence for ETs. It's not just Roswell. I mean, there's stuff all over. Then we have this. Another coincidence? Trump signs an order directing the Attorney General to fully enforce capital punishment in D.C. and across the country for all applicable cases. Well, this person says what crime carries the death penalty? Treason. It's just, it does seem like everything is coming together. I do feel, kind of strongly, like it really feels like it could happen at any time. And I do expect it would happen within the period like we were talking about, something major to happen in this time period. Really, like probably within the next week, I think we'll see something major. And we are watching major things right now. All 11 Unified Combatant Command Supreme Commanders have also been ordered to appear before the War Secretary, including STARTCOM and USSOCOM by the Department of War. It's rumored that President Trump will also attend, although they're keeping that information secret. Both the president and the war secretary have the power to fire anyone in the military. Is this about firing people that they view may have committed treason? Getting rid of people, firing people, perhaps arresting them too, that they feel committed treason or in some way or another have compromised this country. This feels like a real possibility. I mean, it could be a lot of things. Some people believe it's really about going in and attacking Venezuela, going in there full force. Some people believe it's more of this, where we're actually talking more about, what could turn into a civil war, depending on how things go. Some people believe that it's because of the situation with Russia, or maybe it's all of the above.
I don't know. I was just, Wayne had asked me at the very end of the video. He said, what do you guys see down the pipes? And, for me, I look at the energy, I look at the astrology, I watch people, not really great with politics, but to me, it's the energy. And I know a lot of people are going through a lot of things, and whatever's going on inside of you, there's like a war inside of you, and we are going to reflect that on the outside of us. And not to mention the planets again, they are in a position where we could endure a lot of loss, but at the same time, loss in things that are keeping us from growing. So I do feel like we're in for a big change.
The Polish psychic Krzysztof Szakowski that we talk about all the time, he's amazing. I've watched dozens at this point of his visions come true. And he did see, going back several months ago, that there would be some sort of what he took as a coup inside the U.S. And then he said, could it be that the coup is initiated by President Trump? So could this be, like this person, U.S. Homeland Security News, says about 250 current U.S. military generals and admirals, flag officers, including ranks from brigadier general, rear admiral to general admiral, were promoted during the Biden administration. So, I mean, could this be removing those that, 47 feels might not be truly gonna follow orders, let's say, or could actually end up posing some sort of threat to the current presidency? Yeah, this is a mess, but I think we are all kind of expecting something like this to happen. So, boom, there you go. Trump stuns reporters after declaring Barack Obama will face justice. This is about 7 minutes long. And yeah, absolutely saying that, he says basically, election was stolen, tried to do it again. They came after him. We're all very familiar with everything that happened. And basically also kind of saying that, these are treasonous things that have been done by, the two, not obviously 45 and 47, but 46 and 44. So yeah, this might be that time that so many people have been rumored about. Oh, and thank you. I missed who did that.
Yes, thank you so much, Paulo. That really, really helps out a lot. Keeps us going, keeps us, gives us the ability, the time to come on here and get this information out to people, because I really feel this is significant with this one. It's just, I'll mention it again. The astrology is in a position where things are going to change, and it starts inside of us. And so many people have been having problems, especially with this eclipse. Has been so difficult. But at the end, there's always a rainbow. It's just not always easy getting to see it.
No, and I think we do have to go through some changes, and it's just obvious. So many people are waking up now to the reality of what's gone on in the past, and wow, it's going to come to a head, and it seems to be all coming to a head right now, and it does feel again that October, and even here we still have 5 more days, right? In September. Whew, boy, this is so significant. This is going to be in the history books. And here we have FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino dropping a bombshell by issuing a stern warning. If you are a corrupt politician, we're going to find you. I don't have any friends. I don't want any friends. I didn't come here for money. We're coming for you. These are serious declarations. It is kind of a declaration of, it feels like, internal war. And the left, the right, that whole paradigm, well, it feels like it's about to go and explode.
Let me ask you about, are you going to be looking into, Cash and Pam, any potential collusion between the DOJ, Letitia James, the novel legal theory of Alvin Bragg, or Nathan Wade, or Fonnie Willis, and the DOJ? Is that something? Has anything come up? Is there any way to determine whether or not evidence was destroyed in any of these cases?
Well, there's always a way to determine that. I don't want to comment on that specific case right now for a reason. I don't want to get ahead of the Department of Justice on that. But I want to say this. The FBI obviously has the public corruption portfolio. And yes, if you are a corrupt politician out there, if you are engaged in behavior, you know what you're doing, we're going to find you. I promise. No one is going to get off. The days of selecting and putting your partisan bias on and taking care of your friends, those days are over. You know what, Sean? I don't have any friends. I don't want any friends. Well, maybe outside of you. And I don't care. I didn't come here for the money. I didn't come here to make. I know.
No, you didn't go there for the money. I can tell people that for sure. No, I didn't come here to make friends. I don't give a damn about friends. I don't have any friends. I don't want any friends. I got my wife. I got you, and I got a small crew of people. So I don't need any friends. If you're you want a friend in D.C., get a dog.
We're coming for you.
That'll help.
Yeah, go. Exactly. Right. You want a friend?
Yeah, I mean, again, there's so much that is drama and to build up that whole, paradigm. But it does feel like we're going to a whole new area of reality here in the U.S., and which, it makes me think if some big names, like what if, Biden and Obama get arrested and literally are facing treason charges, I could really see, like Newsom and California and New York perhaps even making statements, others as well, that they're leaving the union. Can't you see that? That just seems like it would be something that you might expect.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a mess right now. It really does look like infighting.
Yeah, and if you did get it to the point where the states are literally looking at breaking up and fighting each other, what does that mean about the conflict with between NATO and BRICS? Well, when you look at it, that situation has happened before. If you look to the Soviet Union, and, you look to our previous world wars, these situations have happened before where countries are literally fighting a foreign war and they're fighting a civil war at the same time. That kind of seems hard to fathom. And, of course, we hope that that doesn't happen, obviously, although it does seem it's coming to a head. And then you get this is Dr. John Brandenburg. He's a plasma physicist, fusion energy, advanced space propulsion, and an author. He says it seems possible that the imminent arrival of 3I Atlas near Mars is creating a secret crisis within the government, the U.S. government. This crisis apparently military, and he thinks that's what prompted the meeting of senior military officers by the Secretary of War. Oh, so is it the, fake alien invasion scenario? Again, there are aliens. There are ultra-terrestrials for sure. But, we don't get that we're in danger of imminent invasion, though it has happened in the past from what we have gotten from the guides.
Well, I think it is probably going to be that fake alien invasion. But Mike brought up a point. They're having all these guys meet at the same spot, all this top brass. And, you know, it would just take one hit to take all of them out. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, because I was forgetting that point. Just think about that. If you're bringing all your your absolute top line officials to one spot in Virginia and going to have a meeting with them all in person, what happens if the enemy is able to take them out? Then what type of situation does the U.S. military face? The reality is the control system, the dark control matrix, those that we might call the cabal, those we might call, again, a lot of different terms, the deep state, et cetera, et cetera. It does seem like their plan was to stop using the U.S. as the world's police force, so to speak, as the number one dominant military, and shift over to China. So, it does feel that there is this dark secret society alliance that really feels that, if we all had the system of China with the digital ID and all the other stuff, the surveillance that they have, it might be a lot easier to control us. So and this is also part of that gun grab up in Canada and in other places. Canada is going through that. Australia, New Zealand, UK, when you look at it, the civilians are not armed. So, they truly are primed for, a takeover. So if you had military forces landing, en masse in the United States, there's more guns than people. It makes for a harder invasion. And, many have said you could never invade the United States, but I don't know about that. If we look to Hopi prophecy, that's exactly what it says happens. And if you look to the vision, the George Washington vision that they attribute to Valley Forge, and if it is, whether it's real or not, it feels to me like it is kind of a plant by the secret societies themselves. What does it call for? It says we're going to be hit and invaded. So that's another one. There have been actually many psychics that see that.
Yeah, there's quite a lot, and there's some great comments in chat. You guys are wonderful, having a good time, and it's why Gruesome Newsome disarmed California. There's so much of that going on, and they're trying to do it everywhere, really, to those who will tolerate it or those who are weak enough and they can't do anything else but submit to the system. Yeah, it's definitely a mess out there. We have some things going on that I think need to be addressed. And as far as the U.S. being invaded, we've already been invaded, total tribal people completely wiped out. So we can't sit here and think that it won't happen again.
Yeah, it's just trying to figure out how things are going to roll out. So here you go. MSNBC encourages rank and file Department of Justice officials revolt if James Comey is indicted. Again, the Comey indictment could be the beginning of many indictments. Yeah, it does. And even Soros. Again, there's an investigation into the whole Soros, regime. Meanwhile, make note of this. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan signed a landmark mutual defense pact. This was in Riyadh on September 17th, 2025, pledging that any attack on one will be treated as an attack on both. It's a Saudi effort to diversify its security ties amid shifting U.S. reliability. India's deepening role in Russian oil trade and growing regional instability, with implications not only for Iran, but also for India and Israel. So, yes, the Saudi-Pakistan Mutual Defense Pact also carries an Israeli dimension. The agreement comes at a time when Israeli military actions in the region, including airstrikes and operations in Gaza and beyond, have heightened concerns across the Muslim world. For Saudi Arabia, aligning with Pakistan, a nuclear-armed state, Pakistan is, and both of them have a lot of firepower. Saudi Arabia, for years, was actually the number one purchaser of U.S. weaponry. And when you take Pakistan, again, nuclear-armed state that doesn't recognize Israel, this definitely is sending a message. So, this is very, very curious because India and Pakistan, they just were going at it, like not long ago, a month ago or whatever. There were some exchanges going on. Yeah, you're really watching all this. This is really coming out a lot like, again, the Polish psychic Krzysztof Jakowski had seen, because he saw that Israel was going to get hit severely after Israel attacks. They attack in Gaza, and the situation there worsens again. Israel will suddenly be attacked by two countries. He didn't name the countries, but I've been feeling this myself, that Saudi Arabia and Pakistan may come into the fray. And if they do, that's serious firepower for that region, for sure. So it feels like this might be what Krzysztof was seeing, because the attacks are stronger than Israel's ever experienced in its existence, and ultimately it leads to many of the civilians in Israel leaving Israel and going to other places. He's also gotten that Netanyahu is not going to be with us for very much longer. He's seen that. He was watching. He had a vision of Netanyahu's funeral.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people seeing a lot of things, whether it be through astrology, psychic work. Things are happening.
Yes, and I'll bring up his site for you guys. There we go. The clear seeing one is in English. Usually it's a couple days later. And then his other site, his main site, this is somebody that translates into English for us. His main site is just his name again. But yeah, he sees things. He also sees a rebellion happening. Actually, he did see the gallows being used in a certain country. He didn't give us what country that was, but he is very, very gifted. By the way, Microsoft has revoked Israel's access to AI and Azure cloud services after Mossad's Unit 8200 was found to be using software to mass surveil the Palestinian population. Curious little twist in that. Then we have RFK Jr. just walking into the UN and shredded its oppressive declaration on non-communicable disease. This, again, we're watching history unfold. It's kind of mind-blowing to see it, and of course we hope that we transition to a peaceful world where we all get along and we can enjoy each other's company and cuisine and forget about, the military-industrial complex entirely. Here's RFK.
We launched the Make America Healthy Again agenda to confront the root causes of chronic disease, especially for children. We put nutrition, physical fitness, and responsible medicine back at the center of health. That's why we're calling out the truth. Ultra-processed food is driving chronic disease. America has the highest chronic disease burden on earth. This is both a public health crisis and an economic crisis. We now spend 90% of healthcare costs, about $4 trillion a year, on chronic disease. It's also a national security crisis. 7 out of every 10 American children cannot qualify for military service. America suffers more than anybody else, but this is a global calamity. More than 40 million people die around the world each year from chronic disease, and 7 out of the 10 most common causes of death are chronic disease. President Trump wants to lead the effort globally against ultra-processed foods and the medical and physical illness associated with it. We're calling on the international community to come together to combat this scourge. We cannot defeat the epidemic alone, but the UN's approach is misdirected. It attempts both too little and too much. It exceeds the UN's proper role while ignoring the most pressing health issues. And that's why the United States will reject it.
Well, so yeah, I mean, I think really what's going to happen is things are going to have to break down into smaller pieces. And, that's really the start of it when you get down to it. The UN is obviously has not been a tool benefiting most of humanity. That's for sure.
I know, and thank you so much, Miss Susan Donahue. You've always been so supportive, and people can also donate over there on Ko-Fi as well. There's always a link in the description. It really helps us do these videos, get the information out, and at the end, please stick around because we are going to be doing an activation and sending positive energy out for everyone and everything.
So you have a 1,000,000-year-old human skull found in China suggests that our species, Homo sapiens sapiens, began to emerge at least 500,000 years earlier than what we thought. Again, anytime they say any of this, I take it with a grain of salt because, I don't really believe that it's even close to the actual reality with what they've given us. We were discussing this with Wayne earlier. When you look to, dinosaurs per se, I think it's a total misrepresentation of what the bones actually were. Many of these dinosaurs were the giants that were referred to, that people call the Nephilim, and other types of giants. And yeah, absolutely. We ourselves, I don't know if you ever saw the dragon skull we found in the desert, but I'll have to dig that photo up. We almost got killed doing it. Honestly, we almost fell to our death because we were staring at it. We were staring at this dragon skull, and that's what we took it to be. And we almost fell down an abandoned mine shaft. Oh, thankfully Zeke was there looking at me like, don't you realize what you're doing?
Well, the pups were there, and there was a bunch of birds down there close to the mine shaft, and the pups made the birds move, and that's what saved us. It was mesmerizing, this thing. It had a energy to it, and we were just in total shock, but we'll have to do another video on that. It was great.
Absolutely. So, and then a lot of these are ultra-terrestrials too. Again, there's many different humanoid beings that have been on the planet. This is on a windswept Wyoming summit, nearly 10,000 feet up. There's a stone circle. It's bigger than a house, 28 spokes, 6 cairns, a hub at the center. It's called the Bighorn Medicine Wheel. It's not a ruin. It's actually alive. Here different tribes like the Crow, Cheyenne, Shoshone, Lakota fasted, prayed, and tied offerings. Chief Plenty Ku of the Crow sought visions here, as well as Chief Joseph of the Nez Perez. And so, there's so many sacred areas. Science can only prove one thing. One particular stone is at least from 1760. But native use of the mountain stretches back 7,000 years. So, again, there's so much hidden right out there in plain sight, and so much that gets misdiagnosed, again, in more ways than one. So, this is aligned, again, with the major planets and stars. We need to reconnect to the earth. We need to feel our roots. We need to tap into the earth's energy. The earth is ascending. She is definitely on the ascension path. And, when we hook into that energy, it does pull us into alignment.
It does. And we have a Janie sighting in there. Janie, great that you made it. I'm so glad that you made it. But yeah, there's so many things on this planet that are beautiful, mesmerizing, magical. It goes on and on. Who I don't know, how could you not believe that there's other beings here with us?
Well, look at this, right? This engraving depicts Amerigo Vespucci's vision when he reached the coast of America. What do you see? A dragon. A dragon up in the sky, and some cool creatures. Yeah, absolutely. You also have maps that show giants welcoming European explorers down in Patagonia, in Argentina and Chile. Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, there was all sorts of giants. How about all the griffins with Queen Califia of the island of California, back when California was an island, which may have only been like 325 years ago that California was an island, because that's what the legends say, and there's many maps. In fact, most maps show California as an island. When you go back about 400 years, you'll see there that the maps that were drawn were showing California mostly as an island. And then coincidentally, we had the Great Cascadian Earthquake, which was somewhere between 9.0 and 9.5, according to the experts, in 1700. Yeah, and that was, after that particular event, then we see all the maps are showing California as part of the landmass.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of things going on that we can go back and look and see that they're there.
And this is Washington. Look at these houses, buildings, whatever you want to call them. They were kind of the norm. It's, again, the history is not what we were told. In fact, some people believe that really the end of Tartaria was really more like 1776. And, this is remnants of that. We have gotten that, yes, the ultra-terrestrials that were with us before the dark matrix architects came in and took over everything were benevolent for the most part. And, they were not oppressive. And they worked with us and showed us how to make amazing structures and how to do amazing things. This is from the film Knowing. Absolutely very cool, well, pretty scary movie. But then again, these light beings land, and these are again energy, basically energy bodies. So yeah, higher vibrational frequency beings that come and take the two kids, because they have to reseed them somewhere else and bring them to a new planet and a new Garden of Eden.
I mean, it looks like a lot of fun there.
Yeah, this is, again, much closer to our real reality. So, what can we say, guys? We are so grateful for you guys and, being part of this family. And we are honored to have 8 years so far doing this and sharing these videos with you. And hopefully there'll be many, many more years, and we'll have peace, and peace will break out all across the planet. Again, let's put out our prayers and love for Lynn, Wayne Steiger's wife, and hope that she is on her quick road to recovery, and may there be peace all across the earth.
Okay, you guys, think happy thoughts. Want to say a special thanks to Susan and Paulo for your support, and anyone over on Ko-Fi, and everyone on Patreon. All the thumbs up, all the comments, everyone who showed up. And please, we're going to do some a couple of dings here and have happy thoughts. Here we go. Come together in love and peace. Source bless and namaste.
Source bless and namaste, guys.